Hey everyone, welcome to the Quality Connect YouTube channel. And today we're going to be talking about first steps to managing a residential infill project. My name is Trevor and this is Andrew, the president of Quality Connect. And we're going to start off with a little quote from Benjamin Franklin. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. On average, a new home takes between 4 to 6 months to build, and without proper planning it can take even longer. Right, Andrew?
Yes, definitely.
So why don't you tell us a little story about our topic today?
Well, one of the reasons why I started Quality Connect was dealing with infill builders and first-time builders. A lot of people were looking at the infills, the skinny homes and duplexes as a great investment property, a great way to bring in some money for an either additional income or a side project to manage on the side, basically. And a lot of them were asking me questions that they should have had answered before they started the build. They didn't know who they were hiring, who to hire next, how long it should take to build. Some of them were asking how much it's going to cost to build the home, and they were already in the ground, already started.
Oh wow!
And these kind of conversations are good conversations to have, but you should have them well before you're bringing a framer onto site.
That would be a good plan. So, Andrew, last time we talked about people from every background can manage a new home build. Is that the same story with infills?
Yes, definitely. Managing an infill build is very similar to managing a build in a new development. You have some subtle changes, different permitting requirements, dealing with neighbors and stuff like that. But generally, if you can manage a new home build, you can manage an infill build.
Awesome.
It's just staying on top of your trades, staying on top of scheduling, and staying on budget.
That's the biggest challenge.
Exactly.
So how do infill projects differ from building in a new development?
Well, mostly dealing with neighbors and dealing with the city. So you're going to have different requirements from the city because you're going to have to deal with zoning. You're either going for... Usually people are going for either two skinny homes or a duplex when they're doing infill projects. And that's where a lot of the challenge comes in. If you're tearing down a home and building a new home very similar size, it's very similar and very easy to do, similar to a new home. But when it comes to skinnies and duplexes, you're getting rezoning. You have to worry about parking. You have to worry about how close you are to neighbors and everything like that. So that's where it differs the most.
Okay. So can you use the same trades with an infill as opposed to a new home?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When it comes to the trades, it's very, very similar. There's some subtle differences. Framers have to put the fire rated side of the OSB facing in as opposed to out. There's different requirements. Electrical isn't going to come nicely from underground. You're going to have to get it usually trenched in from a power pole. Which is different, and then sewer and that stuff tying it in. But other than that, it's not that different or a challenge for the existing trades to be able to do infills.
Awesome. So what are the major differences from infill and new developments?
First off, the city. Getting your permits are a lot different than residential new home construction. New home construction in a new development is very basic, very easy. The city has the same requirements for you as they did all of your other neighbors. But when it comes to doing an infill, sometimes you're going to have to get approval from the neighbors as to what you're building. Height restrictions will be a lot different because you have to match the area around you. And a lot of people are going for rezoning. So if you want to put in two skinny homes or a duplex, you have to have enough parking. You have to have parking in the back. The city doesn't allow parking on the street without an exception. So you have to look into different accommodations like that, and that kind of stuff is more work to get planned at the start. But like any project, if you plan it properly at the start, before breaking ground, before all of that, then it goes smooth.
Cool. So are the build times about the same?
The build times will be a little bit longer, but shouldn't be that much more. More of your work is going to come on the planning side. Dealing with permitting and issues like that. But as for build times, they should be roughly about the same. Still takes the same amount of time to do everything. Some trades are going to have a little bit more work because of lack of space. And that's about it. The build time should be roughly the same.
Okay. Now, what about costs? is building an infill home the same cost as building a home in a new development?
No, it's going to cost you a little bit more. Excavation in a new development, you can usually dig your basement and put the dirt on the lot next to you. You don't have to worry about trucking or anything like that. Infill, your neighbor's not going to appreciate a 30-foot high pile of dirt piled on their front lawn. So a lot of times you're going to have to truck that out, and then unfortunately you have to truck it back in when you backfill the house. And of course there's demo. If you're tearing down an existing house, there's going to be the cost of demo. You have the cost, you have to fence in your property once you're at the demo stage. So you have to rent the temporary fencing to go around. You should have a porta potty on site. A lot of those things are taken care of in the new developments. The porta potty is usually covered. There's usually one in the area that someone can use, and you're not required to fence in your house in a newer development. So those kind of costs, and then trenching in for your power and connecting your water, sewer, and everything like that. So there are more costs involved for an infill project than in a new development.
Oh, that's good to know. So what are the biggest challenges that you see infill builders having?
Definitely the city. People.
I sense a theme happening.
And I don't want to come down on the city. They are very good, and they're very transparent, and they're very helpful. We're doing an infill project this year, northeast Edmonton, and you call the city, and we called them ahead of time, told them what lot we're on, where it is, and they are more than willing. They want their job to be as easy as possible, just like everybody else. So they, this is where you are, this is what you need for rezoning, this is the kind of information you need when you submit your permit, this is what we need to make sure, and they give you helpful hints on everything, and it makes it very easy to get the permitting process through.
Nice.
That being said, I've chatted with some first-time infill builders that have spent 7 months at the permitting stage, going back and forth with the city. I've talked with people that have spent years going back and forth with the city. I don't see why you would have to do that. They're very easy to work with. And when it comes back that you need more information on your package to get city and development and building approval, it's not a bluff. They want that actual information. I don't know why you would submit it back without that information, because it's just going to keep coming back. And every time the city requires more information, they put you at the back of the line. And then you have to wait for your permit to come back to the inspectors. If you don't have that information, you have to come back, get it again, and then to the back of the line. So they can be very easy to deal with, or they can be a nightmare to deal with. So that's definitely the biggest challenge. And then the next is the neighbors. As a framer that's done a lot of infill projects and a builder that's done some infill projects, neighbors can be either absolutely amazing, or they can make your life very difficult. A lot of them are very sad to see the existing homes go, and they don't want duplexes or crowded or congested areas, and they will complain, and they will make it very difficult for you throughout the entire build. Others are very happy. They see that you've torn down a dilapidated house that should have been torn down years ago, and they're very happy to see something go in, and they're excited to see construction going on. But it's just a matter of communication. They don't want 4 trucks parked in front of their driveway and their street. They don't want garbage blowing around. They don't want to hear the roofer at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday start shingling the house. So you have to be able to respect the neighborhood and respect the neighbors, and stuff that you can get away with in a new development, like working at 2 o'clock in the morning in a new development. Nobody cares. Nobody's around to hear. But the lady next door that has to wake her kids up in 3 hours isn't going to appreciate hearing your generator and your compressor running. At 9 o'clock at night when her little one just went down.
Well, that's very good information. So here's a question for you. Skinny home or duplex? What's better to build?
That I would ask your realtor. That's a matter of resale. So I know it was in the news a little while ago that there was someone at the city that built a really nice skinny home was trying to sell it for I think $750,000, and he built it in the absolute wrong neighborhood.
Oh no.
And I think it's probably still for sale.
Oh my.
But that's just a matter of resale, and that's the same as anywhere. If everyone else is selling their homes for $500,000 and you build $1 million home in that area, you can build it on time, you can build it on budget with the best trades. It's still not going to sell.
Right.
So I would definitely chat with your realtor about what's going to sell in that area. Duplexes are cheaper to build than skinny homes.
Yeah.
You're working off one foundation. You're working off of the siding in between. You save on everything. Having a duplex versus a skinny home, it's cheaper to build a duplex than a skinny home. But the most important thing is what's going to sell.
Right. Awesome. So is there a trend moving to infills, or is that a passing fad?
I definitely think it's a trend. I think it's something that's here to stay. The city is pushing for more infills. They're making it easier to get things rezoned. You can do secondary suites in duplexes now. They're pushing for the garden suites above detached garages.
Okay.
Like, the city is making it very easy, and they're definitely promoting more infill as opposed to the urban sprawl where everyone's going into new neighborhoods. So that's definitely where it's going. And a lot of the big builders are catching on. Some of the big builders now have infill divisions.
Oh, wow.
So they're starting to come. They're starting to come towards the infill way, which is good for people buying homes, but really tough on the smaller builder, because that's sort of where we had our advantage. Is the big builders couldn't handle infills. They didn't have a division. They didn't have a site soup. Having one house out of the way wasn't something that was economically feasible for them. But now they're seeing that that's where a lot of the construction is going, and bigger builders are jumping on board. So it's you're going to see a lot more of them pop up.
So a little bit of good news mixed with some bad news.
That just keeps you on your toes if you're a smaller builder.
Yeah. So is adding a secondary suite or garage suite worth the additional cost? And what is that cost?
I think it's definitely worth the cost. Usually anyone doing an infill project is going into an area that's either very good for a rental market or a higher density living. So people, by Nate, by Grant McEwen, by the university, and anything where if you have a secondary suite, you can rent it out to a student. So I think it's definitely worth the cost. I know there's a lot of illegal suites around.
Yeah.
I lived in one when I was in university and was super happy to have it. It was close. It was very close, and it was affordable. But yeah, our electrical was tied in with the other people's. Our heating, everything was tied in with somebody else's, and it was not a safe situation. But I definitely think it's worth the additional cost. And when it comes to the additional cost, for a secondary suite in the basement, you have to have 2 layers of drywall to separate. You have to have your furnace area blocked off. You want to have different heating systems, different electrical systems. There's a lot of additional costs that you need to get quoted out, and there's a bunch of different ways to segregate a secondary suite. And so you're going to want to talk with your plumbing guy, your heating guy, your electrical guy, definitely your drywaller on what you need to do to make the secondary suite legal. And then you want to apply for that at the building stage. That's not something you want to try and sneak in after the fact, because you're going to run into the same issue with the city where they're going to require information, and then your project's going to be on hold. You've got that carrying cost. You want to have that set up at the start. And same thing, you want to have it organized to run a secondary suite or any sort of basement development. You want to be on top of it, so your drywaller can come in once, do main floor, second floor, basements. You don't want to have to basically build 2 homes. You don't want to have to schedule the drywaller twice, the plumber twice, the electrician twice.
Right.
You want to keep that running at the same stage as everything else.
So Quality Connect is all about making things more efficient for builders. I wanted to ask you quickly about the project management side of things for Quality Connect. Is that something that you do and you can help builders with?
Yes, we do work with project managers. We have project managers on site that specialize in this. They know the Quality Connect trades. They know how to manage these projects. They've done a lot of them before, and this is our specialty. We try and keep projects on time, on budgets, and with great quality, and that's what we strive for at Quality Connect, and that's what our trades strive for, and that's what we hope to provide to the builder, so that they can they can do it the same way that we do, and on time, on budget, with great quality, and keep it nice and simple.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Andrew. This has been a great talk, and if you guys want to learn more about building, or you're interested in joining up with Quality Connect, visit QualityConnect.ca and fill out a quick form, and we'll get you started right away. Thanks, everyone.